Welcome to my YouTube channel, Loc'D Petition. My hair is a little wild, but we'll just let it go. I'm in the same outfit that you've probably seen 10 to 14 to 17 other times. But you know, that's our business. I know that's right, amen? Now, I want to talk to y'all about this series that I'm trying to do. This would be part 1 or number 1. And I don't know the frequency and I'm doing them. I do want to try to do at least 2 to 3 a year. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna do the first one this year in 2023, and we're gonna talk about how I'm combining my thoughts as a therapist and as they relate to this book or books. So if you can see from already the thumbnail, you know what books we're talking about today. I almost added a 3rd book, but I said no, let me just stick to these 2 books and just talk about them. So the first book we are talking about is the Chateau, and then the other book is My Sister, the Serial Killer. Now, as a therapist, the first thing that I notice about both of these things, or both of these books, is that narcissism is running rampant. Do you hear me? Rampant. There is a high... In both books, there are characters who have a high sense of themselves. Like, a very grandiose sense of themselves. They think that their shit don't stink. They think that what they're doing is what should be done because of something someone did to them or something that they felt was an affront to them. That is just how they feel. And it's also doesn't help that they're both like femme fatales in a way as well. And you know, I just want to get in and talk about that, and I'll talk about each book at a time, but that is the combination that I wanted to get you to think about first. Let's start with the Chateau. The Chateau comes from multiple different point of views. I just want you to know there is multiple POVs in the Chateau. So it follows primarily the story of this young woman named Darcy. Darcy is the granddaughter of this woman named Seraphine. And Seraphine has this beautiful chateau, and she invited her granddaughter and her 3 friends to come over. Now, the story changes perspectives every couple chapters or every other chapter. I can't remember the rate in which it does, but it talks about how Darcy is married to this man, and while she's in a relationship with this man, she have kids, but there is something happening in their marriage. And then one of the friends is really grieving the loss of her partner, and not grieving the loss of her partner like her partner is no longer with us, that she's no longer in a relationship with her, and she is grieving and missing her and wanting to be with her. And then the other characters have their own thing going on, and I can't remember them as well, but they're not really pertinent to what I'm going to be talking about in this book anyway. But it's like all these girls, Darcy and her 3 friends, they met, they studied in France, they had a whole situation, and then, you know, Darcy grandma's like, hey, come hang out with me, essentially. So while they're there, things go down. So while they're there, Darcy grandmother dies, Seraphine dies, and she don't just die, she is murdered. And no one knows why she is murdered, but the police officers and the other women, Darcy and the 3 other women, is trying to figure out if it's somebody in the house, like who did it? Who did it? You know what I'm saying? And I also want to pause right now to let you know that this is spoilers. This whole video is giving spoilers. So if you are not here for the spoilers, you know what I'm saying? Respectfully. Respectfully. Because I don't want you saying Bree was out here just pouring out the milk and wasn't telling people that it was spoiled. Okay? So going back to the story. So you follow the story of like, it's just every perspective talking about how they know that they're not the killer or know someone else is not the killer, and trying to figure out if the killer is someone else. And you get this kind of vibe that everyone is thinking that the killer is outside of themselves. The killer do not live here. Every time the author tries to take us on a journey of being like, well, maybe it could have been this person, it could have been this person. They had alibis that supported that they were in fact not the person. Let's fast forward to the end of the book of the Chateau. We get the reveal that one of the friends in fact killed Grandma, killed Serafina, and I think someone else got killed as well. And she killed them because of what Serafina represents. So when Serafina was younger, one of Darcy's friends was living I forget where they were living, but they were Jewish, and the Nazis were after them essentially. And Seraphine's family, or her, I'm sorry to forgetting it, but Seraphine or her was trying to figure out, like, how can I be support to them? And unfortunately they had to divorce themselves from Darcy's friend family, because it would have affected their family. So Seraphine is like, I'm doing this because this is what my family wants, but also I can't take care or be of assistance to these Jewish people. So it negatively affected Darcy's friend, who was related to this family. I think it was her father. So Seraphine and her family not protecting these people led them to be hurt more as the years went by. However, because Darcy's friend recognized a pendant that Seraphine had on her when she first met her, when they first met each other at this French school, she was like, she was one of the women that caused such heartbreak in my family. So she plotted to infiltrate this family so that she can kill all of these people. That is some shit, right? So while I'm reading the book, I didn't suspect her. I was just here for a good time and a good ride. But once I got to the end of the book, I was like, that makes sense, because there were parts in the book where it went to her POV of her really trying to play into the role of, like, woe is me, which is manipulation, which narcissists love to do. Love a good manipulation. Love it. Will gaslight the shit out of you. And that is what Darcy's friend did. And I forget her name, but she just kept going, and trying to make people think that she is not the person who killed Seraphine, not the person who is pulling the strings and, like, being so conniving and just trying to get her way. Because of how I felt like she was overdoing it, and I don't know if that was the point of the author, but I felt like she was overdoing it to make it seem like she had empathy, which I doubt that she did. And I clocked right away that her empathy did not match the situation. I clocked it right away. And then what really solidified me being like, this woman don't have a lot of empathy, is when Darcy, the granddaughter of Seraphine, who was killed by Darcy's friend, Darcy's husband has been cheating on Darcy with the serial killer friend. Cheating, y'all. So I said, oh, you really out here plotting. You're plotting. And you know what you're doing. You're intentionally being malicious. So if she was to ever get jailed, it would be with malicious intent, first-degree murder. But there was a part at the end of the book where she was talking to her husband, because this is the thing that happens a lot of times in narcissistic relationships, that they can find somebody who they know that they can manipulate, and they can get them to go along the ride on something that even the person who's being manipulated would have never thought to do prior to knowing the narcissist, right? So the friend convinced her husband that not only did she love him, lies, she convinced him that you also want your wife dead. You also want Seraphine dead. And you want her dead because you want her money. So she enticed not only his male ego, but also his relation to patriarchy, because he's like, oh, my wife have all this money, my wife is rolling in the dough, her family has rolling in the dough, I ain't rolling in the dough, but I'm trying to get this money. And they were already having money issues and didn't want to tell Seraphine that they were having this money issue. So she really played into his ego, convinced this man to walk alongside her on killing these people. Then at the end of the book, while she's in prison living it, I'm talking about orange jumpsuit, she goes, don't forget that you were my co-conspirator. Don't forget that. Don't forget. I didn't forget. The only reason why you're coming to see me is because you're trying to see if I'm gonna shut the fuck up and not tell these people what you did. So the only way that you can make sure I shut up, I don't say nothing, if you kill Darcy. What? Not you killing Darcy. Not Darcy gone. It just spewed narcissism. It spewed manipulation. It just spewed so many reasons. Like, I don't even think that he knew every step. A part of this like huge manipulative scheme. I don't think he even knew how willing of a participant he was. Then to at the end of the book be like, oh, my children, you were living it up in no empathy land with this lady. And now you're like, oh, I can't kill her because this my children's mother. Did you care about that when you were spreading them legs like peanut butter on a freshly toast bun? I don't think you were, sir. So what I'm saying as a therapist reading this, I just clocked it, narcissism. And also narcissism traits or just things that are not so savory. It's become a trope that a lot of authors are using in their writing. So it wasn't that hard for me to clock this one. But I was just like, Because to me, the friend who was grieving that she was not in a relationship with her partner was too occupied in her grief. Her point of view was too occupied in her grief for me to even think that she was a killer. It was the fact that the one who was the killer, Darcy friend who was the killer, who was like, I have to get alone with him. I have to do this with him. I have to do that. And then there was a part of the book where she was like, what time it is. And I'm like, why are you asking? It just, certain things just tinkled. And I said, I'm gonna have to keep my eye on her. I didn't know for sure until a couple more reveals that it was her, but she was somebody I was keeping my eye. The other friends, even Darcy, I was like, Darcy holds too much guilt. She holds too much guilt in a specific way to be the one who killed her grandma. It ain't her. And again, I don't know if the author did this purposeful, but because of how the book was set up, I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. It was a good book to me. Moving on to My Sister, the Serial Killer. This follows a story that was set in West Africa, and I'm forgetting where, but it was set in West Africa. And there is these 2 sisters, and one of the sisters, she's working for this doctor office, and the doctor of the office is very attractive, and she's been pining over him, right? But her sister is very beautiful. Her mom tends to only want to talk about her sister, and she really harps on her sister's beauty and how beautiful her sister is in comparison to her. And by her, I mean the person who's working in a doctor's office. And her mom also doesn't know that she has been essentially covering for her sister for years because of things that she's done. Now, it all started when they were younger and had to watch the physical abuse that her dad did to her mom, beating her, treating her poorly, etc. I mean, one day he died, and the sister, not the sister who worked in the office, the beautiful sister, I'm just going to say the beautiful sister because they kept talking about how beautiful she is in the book, but the beautiful sister was looking over his body of just being super excited about what's happening. Sorry, y'all, I got a phone call and I forgot where I left off. But anyway, so she's standing over the body of her father and being like, I love it here, essentially. I'm not saying that's what she's saying, but she is infatuated not only with the blood, with the fact that he's dead, and then there was a weapon near him, like a knife or something that he used, and she held on to it, and then that became one of the murdering tools. So this is what I'm thinking. Trauma can impact you anyway. Even though the sister who was killing folks, the beautiful sister, even though she did some terrible things throughout this book, as a therapist, if I was hers, I would give her more PTSD than I would give her narcissistic personality disorder. Only because I feel like a lot of the things she done or has done is better explained by PTSD. And let me tell you what I say about that. She experienced a trauma at a very young age, multiple traumas, right? She experienced the trauma of watching her mom being beat and abused by her dad. And she also witnessed a brutal death that happened to her dad. It was pretty graphic, the death that happened to him. I can't remember what it was, but I knew it was graphic. And she probably developed this sense that men are bad and men ain't shit, and I'm gonna use my beauty to kill them. Now, is it also narcissistic tendencies? Is there psychopathy there? Is there some things that need to be checked? But I think she is killing folks because of her trauma. Because of her trauma. And to me, her like, even though with the character before, Darcy's friend in the chateau, I feel like hers was more narcissistic personality disorder because of how it all played out. How it all played out, I think that fit a little bit better. But with this woman and the beautiful sister and My Sister the Serial Killer, I would go more towards PTSD. That doesn't mean that the friend, Darcy's friend in the chateau, did not experience any type of trauma. That's not what I'm saying. She also has generational trauma. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna stick right here with My Sister the Serial Killer. So she's seeing her dead dad, and then life goes on. She becomes more and more beautiful, and she meets these men, and she's like, oh, you don't care about me. Oh, I just want to be pampered. Oh, you can, just the way that she is responding to these men being just utterly just obsessed with her beauty lets me know that she knew what she was doing. Like, she knew. She was like, oh, I just want you to buy me things. Don't you not care about me? Do you not want me to, you know, and have enjoyment? Do you not want me to do this and do that? She was really playing on their ego, or being like, oh, I'm a damsel in distress. And then soon as she gets them, she kills them. In the most, like, low-key ways, she's killing them. And her sister has to do what? Clean up after them. But what happened worse is that her sister, a thing that I found that was really hard about it is that her sister knew that she liked the doctor. The beautiful sister knew that the sister who works in the doctor office knew that she liked the doctor, and still went for him. Still went for him, still tried to have a relationship with him, all of that. And the whole time, the sister who's working with this man is like, she's using him, I know she is, it's hurt my feelings, blah, blah, blah. But she's like, I'm my sister's keeper. I gotta stick with her. And that's the thing, like, a lot of people feel like, you're my sister, we ride it until the wheels fall off. Until the wheels fall off, I'ma ride or die with you. Even in your wrongness, I'ma ride and die with you. And I'm just like, girl, you keep covering up these murders, they might get your ass. So there was just like all these different things that I kept thinking about, of just also how her sister, just like the lady in the chateau, latched on to Darcy's husband. That is what the beautiful sister did to the sister who works in that office. Just latched on to her. I know I can get you. I know I can manipulate you. I know I can get you to do my bidding. And then I'm going to pretend that I'm just beautiful and living in this world, and I'm a material girl, and I'm the next city girl, and I'm just going to pretend that I'm not out here causing all this malice. And which was very hurtful is that she was also like verbally abusing her sister. You know, the beautiful sister was also, you know, verbally abusing her sister, and then getting her mom in on it. being like, hey, you need to tell her, like, I'm beautiful, I'm this, she's jealous of me, this, that, and the other. And then the mom would be like, don't come and tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. And the mom never knew what the sister did. Never. Oh, don't tell me anything. It's because you don't want her to be beautiful. You have to help her. You must help her. She need all the help. So it's like, who can you turn to? Nobody. You just hanging out with your sister who have PTSD, have narcissistic tendencies, and think very highly of herself. Thinking her shit don't stink and that she is a product of greatness. It's like, how do you even compete with that? Because even when the sister who worked in the office was trying to tell the man at the office, like, look, she may not be what you think she is and all these things, people were so people were so fixated with her beauty that they couldn't even see that she was manipulating them. Couldn't even see it. Not even a piece of it. And I'm over here clocking it the whole time. The moment that she started talking about, and I read this book twice, and the moment that the beautiful sister started talking about herself, I knew, yep. And then to find out what happened when her father died and how she reacted to it, I said, not a psychopath born. And I say psychopath because that's what's colloquially used or commonly used, even though that's not in this thing that they called the DSM. It's not in there. But it was just interesting. So I don't know if that helped or if you like reviews like this, but I just wanted to just talk about how I, as like my therapist brain, was being like, that behavior is strange, or that behavior makes sense, you know, kind of a thing. So I'm gonna try to do this again. And if you notice, I didn't go like this symptom meets this meets that. I don't want to do that on the internet. This is just for like educational purposes, or just like, let's talk about it from another perspective type of video. And I don't want to make it super therapeutic, but I did want to talk to y'all of how when I'm reading a book, and if I'm reading it, there's a lot of books I just read just to read, and the therapy part is literally down the street. But these books I read with that in mind, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is very interesting. So I say all that to say thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you want to join my Patreon, the link is below. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.